Hello friends! My name is Shayla and today I'm here to do a book review for you. The book I'm reviewing for you today is The Rithmatist by Brandon Sanderson. This is a YA fantasy novel involving magical powers dealing with chalk. So let's just kind of dig right into this and what it's about. I want to start by saying I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It's the lowest rated Brandon Sanderson book that I've read, and I will get into explaining some bits and pieces as to why. But first, let's do a quick synopsis. So in this book, we follow Joel. Joel wants nothing more in his life than to be a Rithmatist. A Rithmatist is basically a magician who has power over chalk drawings. So they call them Rithmatists, and basically what they do is they fight by, like, they draw their defenses on the ground in chalk, and then they make these little creatures called chalklings, and they can go and attack their enemy. And so this book opens up with a chalkling attack, which was a bit surprising for me. So in this book we follow the adventures of Joel, who is not a Rithmatist. What happened is he missed the Rithmatist ceremony when he was a kid. His dad had died, and so he was dealing with all of that, and so he didn't have his ceremony till later in the year. But what you find out is that they only allow a certain number of Rithmatists a year, so it was kind of a bogus ceremony. Anyways, so what happens is students are starting to disappear from Armedius Academy, where Joel attends school, because his mom works there. He and one of his professors end up teaming up to try and find out where the students are disappearing to and what's going on. So in this book, as with most Brandon Sanderson novels, the magic system is very thorough. He always goes into a lot of explanation about why, but this one does still have an air of mystery to it because we don't know how the Rithmatists truly receive their powers. Something happens during the ceremony, but we don't know what that is. So it's still kind of a mystery as to how they actually receive their powers. I think the hardest thing I had with this book is it felt choppier than most of his. Most of his flow really nice for me, but I felt like this one was a bit choppy. It didn't flow as nice. So I think that's what affected my star rating. I didn't connect to the characters like I do in his other novels as well. They're good, fleshed out characters, but I just didn't connect with them in the same way. And maybe this just isn't the series for me when it comes to Brandon Sanderson. I did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. It's very well written. You know, like I said, I felt like the storyline was a little bit choppy, but other people probably disagree with me on that. Then again, I've read a lot of Brandon Sanderson's works so far, well, a good chunk of them, and they're loved works of his. And this one isn't one many people talk about. It does kind of fall into that 1800s steampunk era, and it talks a lot about mechanics of things, but it doesn't feel like a steampunk novel. Maybe as the series goes on, it'll feel a little more that way. But right now, this is the only book in the series. He plans on revisiting this series in the next year or two. I checked on his website before I started this review. So he will be coming back and writing more. I felt like this book also wrapped up really nicely. And then it kind of had this extra little chapter where it totally just knocked you out of the water. Like, it just kind of all blew up in your face. And you're just like, what? And then it's like, okay, cue the next book. It's like, really? Brandon, come on. But that's probably another beef I had with this book, is that it wrapped up nicely to where, you knew it would continue, but it was okay to stop. And then he goes and rips it open again. And it's like, oh, what'd you do? So clearly he wanted to leave it on a cliffhanger. I almost wish that wouldn't have been there. It would have been great to start out the next book with that little bit of information, but I also understand why he did it at the end. So all in all, as I said, 4 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy it. I would recommend picking it up, especially if you're newer to YA fantasy. I think it's a really good dabble in Brandon Sanderson's writing. I would maybe pick this one up if you haven't read a lot of adult fantasy. So I would pick this one up before I'd pick up Mistborn or Warbreaker or Elantris or something. I would probably pick this one up first just to see if you even like his style and his writing before I would delve into his bigger, more well-known series. So especially if you haven't read a lot of adult fantasy. because those are big and they're epic and they're awesome. I could sit here and talk about Brandon Sanderson all day, but I won't do that. So anyways, I would check out The Rithmatist. It is a good read. It wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, but it is a good book. So I would recommend going and checking it out, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.